Today we're doing the vegan Doc Martens to see if they are a cruelty-free equivalent alternative or a boot company's attempt to monetize people's good intentions by overpricing a pair of boots. So I've been thinking pretty seriously about making the Croc Martens that we talked about in the Croc Marten or the Crocs April Fool's joke video, but I want to know if you guys want me to make the Croc Martens true to the meme image that I'll put right here, or try to make them an actual boot. Let me know. I'll put a little poll that you guys can vote on to help me decide. Also, another video I've kind of got in the works is a lot of people have been doing these at-home tutorials for people to do, and I've been trying to think of a cool one to do. So I think I'm gonna do a free wallet template, and I've been working with a sponsor to give away 1,000 needles and thread to ship out for free to you guys to make like a boot into a wallet, or a shoe, an old worn out shoe into a wallet. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know, because I think I will be doing that video next week. So now to the boots. There's a few questions that I'm hoping to answer with this video. We're gonna do some tests on it as well as cutting it in half. So the first one obviously is, are these boots any different on the inside? We'll learn that by cutting them in half. The next question is, how durable is this fake leather? How abrasion resistant is it? And how rip resistant is it? The info on these boots are, it's obviously a Dr. Marten boot is the brand. The model is a 1460 vegan boot. Upper is made out of a vegan leather. The color is a black Felix rub off. I'm not sure exactly what that means. I think rub off means like you can just take a damp towel and rub off any dirt. The price of these is $150, which is the same price as a full leather regular 1460 smooths, which is kind of interesting because I thought they'd be a little bit cheaper, because usually fake leather is significantly cheaper than real leather. And these were made in Vietnam. So very similar to the other boots that we've done by Doc Martens. And if you want to see these other, I think I've done like 4 or 5 videos on Doc Martens. If you want to see those, I will put the playlist in the description and also on one of these cards so you can check it out. Now for my initial impression of the fake leather, I was actually really impressed with this right off the bat. It's a very convincing fake leather. It doesn't have that same shiny, plasticky feel that a lot of fake leather has. It's even got a pore print, like the little pores that you'd see in real leather printed on there. And it has a similar consistency. It has that little bit of squish to it. So that's some of the positive things. Some of the negative things I noticed right off the bat is when you kind of compress this leather, it wrinkles really bad and it has a really foamy texture to it, even more so than leather. And if you like push your thumb down on it, you can see that top layer of plastic coating kind of separates and crinkles underneath the pressure, which you don't really see in leather. So that was kind of a red flag for potential quality issues. And even on the inside, it's pretty convincing. So my initial impression of this fake leather is it's a good imitation. As for durability and stuff, we'll find out when we do the tests, but yeah, not bad. Now let's talk a little bit about vegan leather as a whole and kind of what I know about it. First thing, I reserve the right to be wrong about this stuff. I didn't do a ton of research. I'd love to do a video where I do a ton of research on the supply chain of how leather's made versus how fake leather's made. But this is just kind of a brief understanding of it. So vegan leather goes by a bunch of different names: fake leather, faux leather, PU leather, polyurethane leather, cruelty-free leather, pleather, and I think that's all of the ones I know of. And generally my understanding of the characteristics of vegan leather is it's not as strong and it doesn't last as long. I think a big part of that reason is it doesn't have that fiber structure that real leather has. It doesn't have that natural intertwined little fibers that make it really strong, and it also is lacking that grain pattern that really gives nice leather its high strength and durability. So I'm a little skeptical of how strong these boots are gonna be. And the other thing about vegan leather is there's an argument that could be made that vegan leather is less environmentally friendly than real leather, because if it doesn't last as long, like if these wear out twice as fast as real leather boots, you're gonna end up with 2 pairs of boots in a landfill instead of just 1 boot. And real leather is biodegradable, especially the higher quality veg tan stuff. One super common misconception that I hear nonstop is People always say that like a leather product, even the leather products I make, they don't want to support it because an animal was killed to make that product. But in all reality, 99.99% of leather is a byproduct of the meat industry, and there's really not any animals that are raised just for their hides. So if you're watching this and you didn't know that, it's a pretty common misconception, but cows aren't killed for the leather. And the other thing that's kind of a bummer is if the hides from the meat industry aren't turned into leather and used as leather, they just end up in landfills and rot and go to waste. A couple other downsides to vegan leather is it's not breathable, allegedly. I don't have a way to test it, but that's what people say. So take that for what it's worth. It doesn't age as well because it's a plastic material. It doesn't develop patina and shine and kind of get that really pretty aging that happens with the nicer leather. Doc Martens don't necessarily age the best. As you can see from some of the ones in my personal collection, the plastic coating usually ends up cracking, so also take that for what it's worth. One big positive about vegan leather is it is a lot cheaper to produce. So a lot of times you can get a vegan friendly leather product for a lot cheaper than a full leather product. But one issue that I have with these Doc Martens is they're the exact same price as the full leather ones. That's kind of an odd thing because I can't imagine that a fake leather is more than 1/10 of the price of real leather. It's kind of an interesting thing when companies position a product to be ethical but overprice it based on the materials it's made out of. But maybe I'm wrong. So what is this vegan leather made out of? So vegan leather or faux leather has a bunch of different ways it can be made. This one seems like it's a polyester type fabric that has the polyurethane infused into it with a top layer of polyurethane that has kind of a foaming element to it that gives it that squishiness, and then a top layer of some sort of plastic that has an embossed print on it to make it look like leather. So now that we've kind of got that out of the way and you guys know my understanding of leather and my opinions of like the fake leather, let's cut them in half and see if they're different inside. And then we'll run the tests on the leather and the fake leather and see which one is superior. Okay, I got it cut in half, and I miss cutting Doc Martens in half. They're so easy compared to that Red Wing I did last time. So let's see what's inside. This boot is so confusing. I thought for sure that it would be identical on the inside and then it was just a cheaper material on the outside, and I was ready just to hate on it and say that these are a ripoff. But there's some weird stuff going on in here. So first, the negative things. The shoelaces were very cheap and a lot thinner than the regular shoelaces. Another negative thing is the sole is a lot more gummy, and the cells on the inside are kind of a diamond shape instead of the square shape on the regular Docs, and they're not as thick. So that's kind of strange. But the positive is it's got a felted midsole, and it's a better midsole than the Made in England Doc Martens, their premium boot. So it's got a really good midsole, which is not what I expected. I thought it was gonna be a terrible midsole, or at least the same cheap foam midsole. And then above that, it's got a thicker fiberboard insole, which is thicker than, oh, hello. Which is thicker than the regular Doc Martens, and similar, if not the same one as the premium Doc Martens. So this is a lot more quality than I expected, but also some negative things. So yeah, very surprised. That's why I love doing these reviews, because unless I cut this in half, I would have just said that this is a terrible boot. It's overpriced. They're taking advantage of vegans and cruelty-free people. But this might be a better boot than the regular Docs, aside from the leather on the outside. So, interesting things. I am literally wrong on every single video I do. Okay, now let's cut the upper off and do some tests on the fake leather versus the real leather and see if maybe this fake leather is better than real leather. Maybe I'm gonna be a vegan. I don't know. Let's find out. Okay, we got it all torn apart, and I just want to go over one more time how different these boots are. So the outsole, completely different outsole. The different cells on the inside, the little pad for the ball of your foot is different, lower density on the vegans. The midsole, a nice felted midsole on the vegans and a cheap foam on the regulars. The insole, both a Texan fiberboard, but the vegan one came off so easy for some reason. I don't know if it's a difference in glue, because I know sometimes glue is made from animal products, but this came off really easy, and this one did not, but it also has this little weird fabric in the middle, okay? And then for the insert, the vegan only has like a half sock liner for the heel, and the regular has an entire insert that's foam. So super different boots. That is crazy. So now I'm gonna cut some swatches off of this, and we're gonna use the swatches in a few very unscientific ways, but that should give us some initial information on how durable and abrasion resistant each of those materials are. All right, we got the 2 swatches out of the 3 different leathers or materials. We've got the hard life leather, we've got the regular Doc Marten leather, the shiny stuff, and then the vegan leather. So the first test we're gonna do is, I'm just gonna take a thin strip, attempt to put equal pressure over the sanding drum and see which one lasts the longest to give us an idea of abrasion resistance. I know these aren't scientific, but it's the best I can do. The next, we're gonna cut some equal distant cuts into this and see how hard it is to rip. And that should give us basic information. So let's do that. Results of the abrasion test. So the 1460 smooth leather lasted 1 minute and 4 seconds. Actually a lot more than I expected. The 1460 hard life lasted 1 minute and 2 seconds. And the vegan leather lasted 38 seconds. So not as abrasion resistant, but that's to be expected. It's a lot lighter material, it's not as dense, and it's not leather. So now let's do the tear test. Results of the tear test. 1460 smooth was pretty easy to tear. Hard life leather, pretty easy to tear. And then the vegan leather was impossible to tear. I kept cutting the cut deeper and farther in and I couldn't get it to tear. Went all the way to 1/4 inch of material left and it wouldn't tear. So I had to cut it to about 1/8 of an inch before it actually tore. So that is really surprising. Now bringing it all together, this review really surprised me. I love doing these reviews for that reason. So this vegan leather is not as abrasion resistant, but it's more tear resistant. So that really makes me curious how they would wear side by side. So I hope this video does well because I want to wear one of these side by side to see how they do. Because the tear resistance, I don't know if that transfers over to wear resistance, and I don't know if abrasion resistance transfers to the wear resistance on the boot. So I'm really interested to see how these would do on a side-by-side comparison. And then as for the construction of the boot, completely different boots on the inside, a different outsole, a different midsole, and honestly, if I was to choose a boot from the insole down, I would choose the vegan boots. These are a better boot from the sole down, or the insole down. The upper, I still would lean towards the leather because I still think it's gonna be a longer lasting and a better looking material for longer. Like if you look at this vegan leather where I just caused some movement and some squishing from cutting it, you can see there's some really deep grooves in it already from me just kind of handling the leather. So this, I still don't think this will look as good for as long. And I'm guessing after the first day of wearing them, they're gonna look not very good. So let me know if you guys have had any experience with the vegan boots and if they wear terribly. But overall, I went into this video thinking that I was going to say, how dare Doc Marten charge $150 for a non-leather boot? And now I'm coming away from it saying, how dare Doc Marten not put a felted midsole and everything that's in the vegan boots and the regular boots. So, interesting stuff. I think these are worth just as much as these ones are, and that really surprised me. I think these are a better built shoe. Doc Martens never cease to surprise me. If you like this video, like and subscribe and comment. It makes a huge difference, and let me know what you thought of this video and what other tests can I do to better test leather versus fake leather, and what did I miss in this video. So thanks for everything. See ya.